Hi, I'm Lisa from Low Carb Yum, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own low carb, keto friendly chocolate chips. Now this is a recipe I've had on Low Carb Yum since the very beginning, and when I first made it, I did it in method 1, which is to just melt the chocolate and pour it into a baking sheet that's lined with plastic wrap, or you can use parchment paper, but if you do use plastic wrap, I like to add just a little bit of water underneath the pan. That just helps it from sticking to the bottom. Now there's actually silicone chocolate chip molds. Now they are a little bit difficult to fill, so you need to have like a little dropper. I actually use a baby medicine, like a push thing, so that makes it much easier to get in the tiny little chocolate chip molds. When I make my chocolate chips, I'll make some of the chopped in chunks, so I'll just pour out a big blob of chocolate onto the pan to harden, and then I'll chop it up with a knife. And first of all, I'll start with the molds. So I'll get the regular chocolate chips, and then I'll have the chocolate chunks that get cut up. Okay, I'm ready to go. I've got a chocolate melter. This is the other thing I recommend having. It's a chocolate melter. This one's made by Wilton, and it makes melting chocolate so much easier because it gets the right temperature. You don't have to worry about things getting too hot on one side in the microwave or dealing with a double boiler, because typically when you melt chocolate, you want to get it tempered and melted on a double boiler. Here's how the recipe goes. It's super easy. You will need to have some food grade cocoa butter. That's just to give it the right consistency and everything for chocolate. And this recipe is great for making any kind of molded chocolate. You could use it for dipping chocolates as well. Like I have a really good low carb buttercream recipe. I like to make those for Easter and shape them into eggs, and then I'll dip it into this chocolate. Just put them on parchment or one of these plastic lined sheets. I start with unsweetened baking chocolate. So it's just like the baker's chocolate, the Ghirardelli, anything like that. You just want the one that's not sweetened. And it does take a while to melt, but just put it in a chocolate melter and let it go. It helps too to break it up into little pieces. And then 1 ounce of food grade cocoa butter. So far simple. And I like to use Lakanto powdered sweetener for mine. It's 2 times as sweet as regular powdered sweetener. It's a blend of monk fruit and erythritol. I use 3 tablespoons of that. And it's a real nice sweetener. I think it doesn't have that aftertaste that some of the other powdered sweeteners have. And of course you can use one of the fiber sweeteners like inulin. A lot of low carb chocolate has inulin in it, but I find those fiber ones actually bothers me. So I like to use the erythritol monk fruit blend. I like to add a little bit of concentrated stevia powder. This one's the Now brand Better Stevia, and that's just so I don't have to use so much bulk sweetener. So that's another reason why I like to use the Lakanto powdered sweetener, because it is 2 times as sweet as other low carb powdered sweeteners. And for the stevia, I'll add in 1/8 of a teaspoon of that. You'll want to have some small rubber spatulas just to stir things around as it melts. So the chocolate and the cocoa butter are starting to melt now, so I'm just going to give it a little stir. It's good to stir the chocolate mixture as it's melting a few times, just to make sure everything, like especially the sweeteners, get well incorporated. Okay, so my chocolate is just about fully melted now. Actually, I would say that it is fully melted now. It didn't take long, probably about, 15 minutes or so. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to put this on warm, and I'm going to take this off the heat a little bit, and then I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract and stir that in. Sometimes if you add too much of the alcohol extract, it can tend to thicken the chocolate and make it change its texture. That's why I like to remove it from the heat before adding it in. Okay, so I'm going to attempt 1 full mold of the chocolate chip mold. So don't worry if you get a little extra over the mold, you can just break that up later. Definitely need to have a little patience when you want to make the chocolate chips in the mold. Okay, so it's a couple overfills, but I wouldn't worry about that. All right, I got 2 of the molds done. If you want them to look like the chocolate chips you buy commercially, I mean, you're gonna want to spend the time for the molds. Otherwise, you just take the melted chocolate and you pour it on a sheet pan that's lined. This is the easy way. And it doesn't really matter, you know, the shape or whatever, but you're gonna have to cut it, so they should set at room temperature, but it's best to just put them in the fridge. That way you can pop them right out and they chill and set much faster. So typically in 15 minutes or so. Sometimes I just wait for a half an hour. But I'll be back. I'm gonna go chill these and we'll see how it came out, and I'll show you how you cut this one into chunks. Okay, so I just took the chocolates out of the refrigerator. I've got the chips here and the molds and the 1 piece of chocolate. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the chocolate off of the plastic and put it on a cutting board. You're just gonna take a knife. Good to have a really sharp knife. And they don't have to be uniform or anything like that, because it's just gonna be used in baking or for snacking or for topping off things like mug cakes. I like to put chocolate chips on my mug cakes sometimes. The chocolate cake that I make, I'll put a little whipped cream and sprinkle chocolate chips on top, and it's really good in baking. You can see those. The erythritol does tend to crystallize a little bit or clump up, but I don't find it's a big deal. If you want, you can use an inulin or even an allulose. I haven't used allulose yet in this recipe, but that's a raw sugar and it said not to impact ketosis. I haven't tested it myself personally with a blood meter, but from others, they say that it doesn't take them out of ketosis. Okay, so let's go ahead and check out. Now these ones are actually my favorite. They are a little more work, but I like doing the chocolate chip molds. And then you just pop them out like that. But there you go. I don't know if you can see that, but they're just little chocolate baking chips. And these ones do actually look a lot better than the chocolate chunks. So homemade chocolate chips, low carb, keto friendly, no sugar added. And you're just gonna wanna keep them in the fridge for snacking, and it's very delicious. And like I said, you can make them in chocolate bars too as well, because if you're a chocolate fan like me, you're gonna wanna have these around. I hope you guys give it a try, and I hope you love these and you use it for all your baking. That's it for now. See you guys later. Until next time. Bye-bye.